For the Homo habilis tribe, extinction is not a distant fear, it is a shadow clinging to every dry step. And their cruelest enemy is not predators, but unquenchable thirst. This is the story of how our ancestors fought to outrun that shadow. One hunt, one migration, one breath at a time. On the vast prehistoric plains, a herd of powerful wildebeests thundered across the land, raising clouds of dust that swirled like a living veil, their hooves pounding a rhythm that shook the dry earth beneath. Inspired by this wild energy, a group of primitive Homo habilis resolved to begin the hunt, their eyes narrowing with focus, hands gripping crude spears carved from wood and stone, each heartbeat matching the herd's distant drum. Their frantic run slowed into deliberate steps as they carefully tracked their prey, feet treading softly on the grass to muffle sound, ears pricked for the snort or shuffle that would betray the herd's next move. The entire hunting party paused for a moment to consider their next strategic move. Huddling in a circle, voices low as they gestured toward a rise where the grass grew taller. A perfect spot to lie in wait. Meanwhile, back at the settlement, the rest of the tribe took part in daily communal activities, women grinding seeds between flat stones, their fingers stained with earth, children chasing lizards through the dust, elders weaving reeds into baskets that would carry water. Other members of the tribe continued their journey across the vast desolate land, their backs bent under bundles of supplies, lips cracked from thirst, but their pace steady as they scanned the horizon for signs of water or game. Grazing peacefully on the endless golden savanna, a massive herd of buffalo dipped and rose their heads in unison, tails swatting at flies, unaware of the eyes watching them from beyond the ridge. Nearby, a majestic herd of elephants fed slowly across the dry grasslands, their trunks curling to pluck leaves from low branches, the ground trembling faintly with each heavy step they took. With unwavering focus, the tribe's hunters advanced across the wide and challenging terrain, boots crunching on pebbles, eyes darting between the path ahead and the sky where a vulture circled. A silent scout, the determined hunters maintained a steady pace and stayed alert while crossing the vast field. Their muscles tensed, ready to freeze at the first sign of danger or opportunity, their breath visible in the cool morning air. The rest of the nomadic tribe pressed on with their long journey through the windswept grasslands. The shaman at the front, his staff tapping the ground in a rhythmic pattern that seemed to ward off bad luck. The hunters observed a large herd of buffalo grazing undisturbed on the wide golden plains, their coats glinting in the sun, a few young calves frolicking at the edges, a scene that made the men's stomachs growl with hunger. Across the boundless savanna, a powerful herd of bison continued to graze peacefully, their thick hides protecting them from the sun, their presence a promise of meat that could feed the tribe for days. Gathered on a small rise, the hunters watched their prey with intense concentration, their leader gesturing to two men to creep downwind, mud from a nearby puddle already in hand to mask their scent. The entire tribe moved as one, walking with shared purpose across the beautiful fields, their shadows stretching long in the afternoon light, a river of bodies flowing toward a distant line of trees. They halted in the middle of the broad plain, their shadows standing out sharply against the glowing sky, which had turned a deep orange as the sun began to set. And for a moment, all was quiet save for the rustle of grass. The brave hunters stood perfectly still, conserving their strength for the final chase, their bodies as motionless as the rocks around them, only their eyes moving, tracking a young buffalo that had strayed from the herd. With intense focus, the skilled men stood waiting for the moment to strike across the field, their spears balanced on their shoulders, fingers drumming lightly on the wood, counting the beats until the wind shifted in their favor. A solitary brown beast stood apart from the herd, unaware of the danger closing in, its head lowered to drink from a small puddle, its ears twitching at a sound that might have been a bird, or might have been a man. Beneath the shadow of a lone tree in the desert, a solitary man stood guarding his land, his gaze fixed on the horizon, a club resting on his shoulder, his body marked with tribal paint that told of his status as a protector. Not far away, a woman of the tribe found a quiet moment resting beneath the tree, her back against its rough bark, eyes closed as she listened to the wind carry the distant calls of her people. a smile playing on her lips. 3 of the strongest hunters, armed with sharp spears, advanced together toward a great target. Their steps synchronized, muscles rippling under sweat-soaked skin, each man knowing his role in the coming attack. 2 hunters covered their heads in mud as camouflage, the cool slime seeping into their hair and down their necks, blending them into the tall grass that surrounded them, their breaths shallow to avoid making a sound. Now completely hidden in the grass, the 2 hunters waited for the perfect moment to strike, their eyes locked on the herd, hands gripping their spears so tightly their knuckles turned white, hearts pounding like distant thunder. Suddenly, the hunting party burst from their hiding place, running with fierce speed that sent grass flying, their war cries splitting the air, spears held forward as they closed the gap between themselves and the startled prey. A few younger men crouched in the tall grass, ready to support the main attack, their bodies low to the ground, eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement, hands clutching small stones to hurl if needed. The older hunters, with long hair and beards matted by dust, sat observing the unfolding scene, their faces lined with experience, nodding in approval at the younger men's timing, ready to join if the chase turned against them. The main hunting team pressed their relentless attack, charging across the wild open plain, their legs burning but their resolve unshaken, the sound of hooves and shouts merging into a chaotic symphony. 3 leading hunters, carrying deadly spears, searched for a strategic position in the soft earth, their feet sinking slightly as they scanned for a dip or rock that could give them the upper hand in the final thrust. Amid the harsh desert setting, 3 hunters armed with spears prepared for the final assault, their throats dry but their spirits fierce, sharing a glance that spoke of trust. They would succeed or fall together. Driven by the commotion, a large group of mixed animals began moving across the dry grassy land. Zebras and antelopes mingling in their rush, their panic spreading like a wave that rippled ahead of the hunters. 3 men held their ground in the field, one of them swinging a heavy wooden club that whistled through the air, striking a charging antelope that had veered off course, sending it crashing to the ground. A lone bird suddenly soared high above the grasslands like an omen, its shadow passing over the hunters as they ran, a sign that some read as good fortune, others as a warning to stay sharp. Frightened by the commotion, a large herd of cattle stampeded wildly across the parched plain, their hooves kicking up clouds of dust that blinded the hunters, forcing them to skid to a halt and shield their eyes. The hunters stood firm on the field, their resolve hardened for the final battle, wiping dust from their faces, gripping their weapons tighter, knowing that retreat would mean hunger for the tribe. So they waited for the stampede to pass. The men stood together in the field near a wild boar, a potential secondary target, its small eyes glinting with aggression, tusks bared, but the hunters ignored it. Their focus remained on the larger prize. A pack of primitive dogs, loyal to the tribe, ran swiftly across the dusty barren land, their tongues lolling, noses to the ground, following the scent of the herd, barking to guide the hunters toward their quarry. The rest of the tribe continued their purposeful trek through the vast difficult terrain, the children now riding on the backs of the stronger men, their small hands clinging to fur cloaks, voices echoing with songs to keep spirits high. The main hunting party adjusted their direction, walking with clear intent across the plain, the tracks of the herd now visible in the soft earth, leading them toward a valley where the animals would likely seek water. The hunters advanced with unshakable determination, striding through the field toward their goal, their shadows growing longer as the sun dipped lower, a reminder that time was running out to make the kill. The decisive moment arrived as the giant beast finally collapsed before the hunter's strength, its massive body hitting the ground with a thud that shook the earth, its final breath a low rumble that faded into silence. The hunters now gathered around the fallen bull, their faces showing relief and triumph, some dropping to their knees to catch their breath, others reaching out to touch the beast's thick hide, a tangible sign of their success. The men stood in awe around the dead bison, a testament to skill and courage, its size dwarfing their own, a single spear protruding from its side, the tip stained with dark blood that seeped into the earth. The pillars of the tribe stood proudly beside their quarry, a massive beast that would feed many. The leader placing a hand on the bison's head, murmuring a prayer of thanks for the life it had given to sustain theirs. The men of a bygone era in ancient Africa represented the dawn of ingenuity and power. Their ability to outwit such a creature a step forward in their struggle to survive. A spark of progress in a harsh world. Armed with their primitive spears, the hunters stood victorious on the grassland, chests puffed with pride, their voices rising in a chorus of celebration that echoed across the plain, reaching the ears of the distant tribe. In a moment of joy, some of the men played with a dog amid the desert's harshness, the animal jumping and nipping at their hands, its tail wagging furiously, a rare moment of lightness after the tension of the hunt. A lively band of monkeys could be seen playing together near other animals, swinging from low branches, chattering loudly, seemingly unaware of the humans nearby, their antics drawing smiles from the exhausted hunters. Two hunters stood in the wilderness, one holding a large sturdy stick for defense, scanning the trees for any sign of predators that might be drawn by the smell of blood. Their vigilance a reminder that danger was never far. A lone man with his loyal dog walked across a dry, dusty field, the animal trotting at his side, its nose twitching at every scent, while the man carried a small bundle of herbs he'd gathered, a medicine for the tribe's sick child. An elder of the tribe, with a flowing beard streaked with gray, stood in reflection before a sacred ancient tree, its gnarled branches reaching toward the sky, murmuring words of gratitude for guiding the hunters to success. In a gentler moment, a group of monkeys tumbled and played across the green meadow, their fur catching the sunlight, chasing each other in circles, their high-pitched calls mixing with the rustle of grass, a sound of pure life. Their triumphant return was greeted with joyful feasting and a wild ritual dance. The tribe gathering in a circle, stomping their feet, clapping their hands, their voices rising in songs that praised the hunters and the spirits that had favored them. Some members of the tribe, including children, played together in the soft earth of the camp, digging pits and filling them with stones, their laughter loud and free, a stark contrast to the earlier tension of the hunt. The men began a ritual game with the slain beast, honoring its spirit, tossing a piece of its hide back and forth, each catch followed by a shout, a way to thank the animal for its sacrifice and ensure its spirit would return to the earth. The tribespeople began a unique ceremony, playing with the dead animal as an offering, painting its horns with red clay, placing flowers in its mouth, their movements slow and deliberate, a bridge between the living and the spirits. The hunters expressed their joy and deep gratitude by dancing fiercely across the field, their bodies twisting and leaping, spears held high, their shadows merging with the setting sun, a display of life that defied the darkness. A lone man stood proudly in the field, a symbol of the tribe's great success, his chest painted with the blood of the bison, his posture straight and tall, a living testament to the strength of his people. A solitary man stood firm in the field, a silent guardian of his people, his eyes scanning the darkness that was beginning to creep across the plain, ensuring no threat would disturb the celebration, his presence a comfort to those around him. A flock of small birds was seen walking gracefully across the dry pale grass, their tiny feet leaving delicate prints, pecking at seeds, their presence a sign of peace that settled over the land after the hunt. After their resounding success, the young men of the tribe sprinted energetically across the plain, racing each other, their laughter echoing, a release of pent-up energy, their joy a promise of the tribe's future. The hunters began their return journey to camp, walking with clear purpose across familiar ground, the bison's carcass strapped to a frame carried by the strongest among them, its weight a burden but also a treasure. The chiefs and shamans, adorned with horns from past hunts, sat together on the earth in deep discussion, their voices low as they planned the next migration, pointing to the stars that were beginning to twinkle in the darkening sky. The men wearing elaborate horns on their heads sat together on the sacred dusty ground, their faces lit by the first flickers of fire, sharing stories of the hunt, their words weaving a tapestry of courage that would be remembered. The spiritual leaders of the tribe, crowned with horns, sat solemnly in the ritual grounds, their eyes closed as they chanted, calling on the spirits to bless the meat and keep the tribe safe during the coming journey. A woman stood in the field surrounded by her people, a central figure in society, her hands gesturing as she directed the preparation of the bison, assigning tasks to the women and children, her wisdom respected by all. The rest of the tribe now sat together on the plain, sharing stories of the great hunt, the hunters exaggerating their feats with each retelling, the children gasping at every detail, their imaginations firing with dreams of future hunts. A young man displayed his bravery and remarkable skill as he sat astride a living bison, the animal snorting but calm under his touch, a sign that the tribe's bond with animals was growing, a step toward taming the wild. The younger generation of men in the tribe gathered on the ground, learning from the elders, who traced patterns in the dust to explain tracking techniques, their voices patient, passing down knowledge that had kept the tribe alive for generations. The tribe revealed a growing bond with animals as they gathered around a gentle horse, its coat smooth under their hands, the creature nuzzling a child who offered it a handful of grass. A moment of harmony between species. The tribespeople stood together on the field, a strong and united community, their differences forgotten in the shared joy of the hunt's success, their unity a force that would help them face whatever challenges lay ahead. The victorious hunters stood side by side on the plain, their bond strengthened after the hunt, each man knowing he could trust the others with his life, a brotherhood forged in the heat of pursuit. After the successful hunt, the entire tribe began a great migration to fertile new lands, packing their few possessions, helping the elderly and children, their path guided by the stars and the wisdom of those who had traveled before. The focus shifted to a close view of the powerful legs of a horse, symbolizing this new partnership, its muscles rippling as it walked, hooves leaving deep prints in the earth, a steady rhythm that matched the tribe's steps. The journey of the tribe continued as they walked together down a long winding dirt path, the sun rising and setting above them, days blending into one another, but their spirits never flagging, driven by the promise of a better home. The people showed remarkable endurance as they walked the dusty endless road, their feet blistered but their resolve unbroken, singing songs to pass the time, their voices lifting even the youngest child's spirits. At last, they reached a life-giving river, a perfect place to establish their safe new home, its waters clear and cool, flowing steadily, a source of life that made the tribe fall to their knees in gratitude. The river's clear waters teemed with a large school of fish, a promise of abundant food, their silver bodies flashing as they darted through the current, a sign that this land would sustain them. A school of fish swam gracefully in the clear water, a sign of purity, their movements synchronized as if performing a dance, a sight that filled the tribe with wonder and hope for the future. The new settlement lay beside a beautiful river, with lush green grass along its banks, a stark contrast to the dry plains they had left behind, trees providing shade, a perfect place to build their homes. A man of the tribe began working, holding a sharpened stick for fishing or defense, testing the water's depth, his eyes scanning for the best spot to cast his line, eager to provide for his family. A curious monkey perched atop a weathered tree trunk watched the tribe's arrival, its head tilting as it observed the humans setting up camp, chattering softly to itself, as if assessing whether these new neighbors meant harm. From its vantage point on a tree, a lone monkey observed the people with keen attention, its eyes following every movement, noting where they stored their food, how they built their fires, gathering information in its clever mind. Several men of the tribe began exploring the surroundings, walking down a dirt path that led into the nearby woods, their spears ready, checking for signs of game or danger, ensuring the new home was safe. An entire monkey family sat together atop a large sun-warmed rock near the new camp, grooming each other, their young ones playing at their feet, seemingly accepting the tribe's presence as part of the landscape. A new chapter for the tribe began here, a place of promise and lasting abundance. Their hearts light as they imagined raising their children, hunting, and thriving in this fertile land, a future worth fighting for. A group of men sat on the ground by the river, planning the new settlement, drawing lines in the dirt to mark where huts would stand, where the fire pit would be, their voices filled with excitement and purpose. As dusk descended, the men of the tribe gathered around the first crackling fire, its flames reaching toward the darkening sky, casting warm light on their faces, a beacon that felt like a homecoming. A woman of the tribe gathered resources, carrying a large bundle from the field, herbs and roots tucked under her arm, her steps steady as she headed toward the fire, ready to prepare medicine and food. Another woman contributed to the new camp, hauling a heavy pile of logs for the main fire, her muscles straining but her face set with determination, knowing the fire would keep them warm and safe through the night. A man assumed the important role of cook, preparing the first meal on the warm campfire, skewering pieces of bison meat on sticks, holding them over the flames, the smell of roasting meat making the tribe's stomachs growl. A lone bird was seen flying majestically over the river across the broad plain, its wings outstretched, gliding on the evening breeze, a silhouette against the pink and orange sky, a peaceful end to the day. A bird stood peacefully by the riverbank, a symbol of the place's calm, its head dipping to drink, then lifting to sing a clear, sweet song that mingled with the sound of the flowing water. A tribesman enjoyed the cool water, swimming in the river with a tree behind him, the current gentle as it carried him, washing away the dust of the journey, his laughter loud as he splashed, a moment of pure joy. The whole tribe now stood together around the great communal fire, a beacon of their unity, their shadows merging into one on the ground, their voices rising in song, a celebration of their new home. 3 men sat on the ground, sharing the first food from the hunt, tearing off pieces of meat with their teeth, juice running down their chins, their conversation lively as they relived the day's events. The tribe gathered closely together, sitting in the warm, comforting glow of the fire, the elderly telling stories, the children leaning in wide-eyed, the fire's warmth seeping into their bones, chasing away the chill of the evening. They roasted fresh meat from their hunt over the open flames of the great fire, the fat dripping and hissing as it hit the coals, sending up puffs of smoke that carried the delicious scent across the camp. As night fell, they sat together around the fire, sharing warmth and stories, the stars beginning to twinkle above, the river murmuring in the background, a symphony of sounds that felt like peace. The tribe found comfort and fellowship as they sat by the blazing campfire, their differences fading in the shared warmth, their laughter and voices creating a tapestry of community that would bind them together. A primitive grill piled with meat cooked over the roaring fire behind them, the flames licking at the edges, turning the meat a rich brown, the sight making even the fullest bellies crave more. The scene focused on a grill with sizzling meat as flames leapt up from below, the sound of crackling fire and hissing fat filling the air, a sensory feast that celebrated their abundance. The tribe sat together on the wide grassland, enjoying their cozy communal meal, passing pieces of meat from hand to hand, sharing with those who had not yet eaten, a lesson in generosity for the children. A man and woman sat close beside the fire, representing the core family unit, their hands brushing as they shared a piece of meat, their eyes meeting in a silent exchange of love and gratitude. This single fire represented the very essence of survival and their enduring spirit. A flame that had been carried with them through their journey, now burning brighter in their new home, a symbol of hope. The men of the tribe continued their conversations, seated close around the warm blaze, their voices low but animated, planning tomorrow's tasks, ensuring the settlement would thrive. The hunters' bond was clear as they sat together sharing food around the fire, slapping each other on the back, teasing one another about near misses during the hunt, their friendship strengthened by shared hardship. In a surreal, strange image, a monkey seemed to perch atop the burning flames, its silhouette clear against the fire's glow, as if joining in the celebration, a moment that made the tribe laugh and point. The men of the tribe sat content around the fire, their faces lit by the warm orange glow, bellies full, hearts light, knowing they had found a place to call home, if only for a while. The people of the tribe sat in unity around the fire, a symbol of their collective strength, each individual a thread in the fabric of the community, together unbreakable, ready to face whatever the future held. This fire was more than warmth, it was the heart of their entirely new community. A place where stories were told, bonds were forged, and hope was kindled, a light that would guide them through the nights to come. Thank you for joining Homo habilis History Hub on this journey. If you found this story meaningful, please support us by liking and sharing the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to continue exploring the grand chapters of human history with us. Goodbye, and we'll see you on the next journey through time.